Hello, I'm here today at a fitness studio. It's called 3 Fit Fitness Studio. And the reason I came here is because I liked the way the founder explained his concept about fitness. We usually think that fitness is all about working out in the gym, drinking muscle milk, lifting weights, stretching. But fitness is much more than that. So today we'll find out. Just waiting for the founder. He's getting ready. This is the gym facility. They have nutrition also as part of the program, and it's very, very customized. This whole program is customized to you. It's about you, your body. It's not like a cookie cutter method. So let's find out. Hello and welcome to another episode of Pitch Cafe podcast. Today we are doing our podcast in a slightly different way. I'm here at 3 Fit and I'm with somebody very special. His name is Marcel. He's a super fitness coach. He has an amazing 3 Fit coaching methodology. Hey, all of you who don't like to work out, he's going to roast you. He's our bean master and he's going to get the best brew out of you in terms of fitness. So let's get started. I'm Marcel. Do you want to introduce yourself to our audience? We are all fitness freaks. We are all aiming for excellence. We want to do the 10x leap in terms of health. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I've been teaching for over 15 years. I have a degree in kinesiology and psychology, which I use very frequently. A lot of training is about blending the mind and the body. And then I also just study all kinds of things body related, right? Because we need to approach fitness from all different angles. So I guess the way that I think of fitness is it's more of a lifestyle than it is just like going to the gym or like you do a particular workout. It's really about how you live and how you identify with yourself, either as a movement person or maybe not a movement person, right? So I would say that my goal with each client is to help them figure out what is their movement identity and help them really dig into that and unlock that so that training no longer becomes this like thing that I dread and I gotta do and I gotta go to the gym and like sweat for an hour and die and hate it and then go back to work. But it becomes more of like, sweet, like this is the way I live my life and I choose to, move or walk or, pick up groceries or carry the grocery bags or whatever gets your body moving and doing more stuff than you would in general. That's kind of the way I approach how I coach and how I get people fired up about, exercise in general and not just like thinking about, I gotta do squats today. Oh my God.
All right. So I really like your description of fitness. It seems super customized. It's super personalized. So before we get to what you prescribe to each of us, let's take a look at your gym and then later on put it all together and find out what is it that you do during your routines or circuits or whatever you call it.
Okay.
So Marcel, what do we have here? A bunch of sacks?
Sandbags. So Sandbags are just a fantastic way to develop some real world functional strength, right? So a lot of the things that we're going to pick up in life are awkward and they don't move the way you would think like a dumbbell or a barbell would move. And so when we train with sandbags, it forces your body to adapt to a lot of the changing positions, the shifting of the weight, things like that, stuff that we would find in nature or maybe picking up our kids. This is fantastic for training with children. And I have a lot of new parents actually specifically trained with the sandbags here. And when we program with stuff like this, we either try to look at it from like a body weight percentage. So say a person weighs 100 pounds, they're going to pick maybe 40 pounds, right, as a percentage when we're thinking about training specific stuff. It all depends on the person and their goals, But in terms of the versatility of the sandbags, I mean, it's just awesome. You can do everything with the sandbag, and it really transfers over to life skills. So that's why there's so many.
Wow,
So we do a lot.
I never thought about a sandbag as a training equipment. This is amazing. So there are a lot of things like this at home, which now I'm going to look at as a training equipment, as training gear.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the pandemic, we've had to do a lot of online training and coaching, and so we'll get people to fill up pillowcases with
Fantastic.
like
Yes, I
water
was thinking about
bottles
that.
or whatever, because it mimics sort of the shape of a sandbag. But then, the world is your gym. I mean, that's one of the things that we talk about a lot here, is that you can use anything as equipment. And if we think about what exercise is, it's just stuff we make up to make up for what we don't do in the real world. Right? And before we had gyms, we had like rocks and tree branches and logs and trees to climb and stuff like that were all like natural pieces of equipment that we could play with. You know what I mean? And that's what would get us fit, so to speak.
I love this analogy. I really love this. The whole world is our gym.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would just write that down on a wall and look at it every day.
It's
The
true.
whole world is our gym. And then second thing, we make up for what we don't do in real life. I like that. We have machines for everything.
Mhm.
We have lost touch with organic materials, and this is one way of cherishing it. No wonder 3Fit is a holistic framework. Tell me, what is 3Fit?
It originally started as mind, body, and spirit. And over the years, it definitely still encompasses that, because I believe that every person comes to the table with those elements, right? You're mentally, you're physically, and sort of your belief system as a person, which is what I would call spirituality, is part of how you move through life and how you're going to interact with changing your body physically and consequently changing your mind, and maybe even how you view yourself through the spiritual whatever, right? And over the years, it's morphed into other things. It's become like fitness, nutrition, lifestyle. It's become sort of the relationship between like me, you, and us in that aspect. And I always find that like things happen in threes.
Fantastic.
So
Yeah. Oh my gosh, look at this. Gosh. These are so huge. This is me and this is them. Can you see how big it is? Gosh.
there's an even bigger one in the back here. So these are,
Gosh.
this one weighs 500 pounds. This one's about 280 pounds. That one's about 250, and this one's 120.
120 pounds?
120 pounds for this is like a semi-truck tire right here.
Gosh.
So the way we use these is a whole bunch of things. We use them for like lifting. We'll sometimes jump on them. We'll sometimes drag them, like we'll attach a rope to it and just kind of pull. And I'll do a lot of group work with this stuff. So in some of my group classes at 3Fit, we have like team-based activities. So we'll just throw a rope on it and it'll be kind of like tug of war where you're pulling on the.
So I just want to stop you there. This team kind of activities, this is very common to triathlon and not triathlon, Tough Mudder.
Sort of like that, yeah.
And there are a couple of others.
Spartan Race.
Yes, Spartan Race.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what is this with team building and this, really difficult challenges in the gym? How do they connect? What's going on there?
So I would say that in order to really live to your true potential, you have to sort of test yourself and kind of explore what you're really capable of. And the most tangible way is through physical exertion, right? Finding out the most that you could lift, or the most that you could pull, or the longest that you could run. And I'm not saying that's right for everybody.
Right.
But
what does it do to the body working with such demons? So at the body level, fine, it's training you, but what's happening in the mind?
Well, then you start to understand yourself, and I would say it this way: you can't really solve a problem unless you understand the question, and you can't really dig into yourself as a person and know who you really are until you really know what you're capable of.
So give me one example.
So like, say you run until you hit failure, right? So if people are doing a marathon, like I would never do a marathon, that's just not my wheelhouse, but I've trained people who do it. And to push your body to that limit, you have to dig in super deep from a physiological level, we run out of energy somewhere in that 20-mile range, and then you need to take in energy to keep going. It just has to do with our physiology, right? So there's something in your mind that has to say like, I know I'm hitting this wall, which we all heard of the wall with the marathon, right? But I'm gonna do what I can in the moment while I'm still running to break past that wall and really hit, whatever my true potential is. So when you sort of find those physical limits, you find that because you're developing your mental capacity to push you that way.
Fantastic.
And so we as coaches here at 3Fit, like we want to help people find out how to tap into that with anything we do. It's not that we're pushing you to failure all the time, right? Because that's also not valuable. But as we progress from a fitness perspective, and we really help you figure out how to develop that sense of like, oh, I can do this. Even though it's going to be hard, I got it. I can handle it. In the team aspect of it, as a team, we sort of feed on each other's energy, right? So if we're pulling this tire and we have to pull it all the way around the building, if someone gets tired, someone else can be like, come on, you got this, let's go. I need your help, pull,
Yeah.
And then they're gonna dig in and they're gonna go, oh wow, I still have some energy left, okay, cool. And then they're gonna leave that session, and even though they might not think about it, they've felt it and they've experienced it, and they will then take that and apply that to the next session, the next hardship in their life, the next work problem, whatever else, because they've felt that like, oh cool, I still have more than I thought I did, so I'm gonna keep pushing.
Fantastic. So Marcel, what do we have here?
So these are resistance bands. I don't know if you can see this here. They're kind of like a strength loop. And these are probably one of my favorite tools to play with because they're super duper versatile. And you can set them up anywhere. So when the pandemic hit, we basically pivoted to online training, and I found sort of a list of equipment that was pretty cheap. It was under $50. And I sent that out to all of our clients, and I was like, look, you get this stuff, we'll take you through the whole pandemic, and you'll get a fantastic workout, and there's not going to be a day you need to miss with this piece of equipment. So what we have, I have a bar on my ceiling that these are attached to, but at home people would put this in their door frame, and then they would loop it to something, and then it would stay put there. But what's cool about these, they're super portable, they're really light, and you can scale the resistance literally on the fly. So we're gonna do something called a tricep press.
Okay.
Right, so you're gonna take this band, you're gonna squeeze it against your body, your elbows against your body, pull it back, and then we're only gonna straighten the arms out. So everything stays squeezed against your body, and you're gonna push your arms straight down, just like that, and then you come back up, and that's it. So this exercise works the back part of the arm right here.
Yeah, I think I'm feeling it after the third one.
Great.
So I have to hold my course. I think I have to get my energy from my core. I think.
You gotta hold your body still, yep, and then press with the arms that way, yeah. So if I were taking you through this exercise as a client, we would talk about your core and what it does for you first before we even touch on this other stuff, because that's something that's foundational, right? Your core is a support for everything else you're going to do in your life. And if you don't understand that and feel that in your body, then no matter what else we do, it's not going to be as effective. So the core stuff is going to be first and foremost kind of thing. And that's, when we do our assessment in 3Fit, we take everyone through a full body assessment that looks at how they can move, how well they can coordinate their bodies, control their bodies, and we base our program off of that information. Because otherwise we're kind of just guessing about what's going to be effective. So if we assess you really well, then we know what is effective, and we don't waste time figuring it out. It's like, all right, this is what we're going to do here, this is what we're going to do for this goal, and then we start implementing.
All right, so what do we have here, Marcel?
All right, so this is a slam ball, and this is probably one of people's favorite tools. So the slam ball is a ball that does not bounce. And the reason for that is we want to throw this thing on the ground as hard as we possibly can, but without breaking the ball or without the ball bouncing back at you, right? So we would typically start with this on the ground, and then you would bend down to pick it up, and you would bring it up, and you bring it into this overhead position, and then you would literally throw it down as hard as you could.
And what's the point? Like, what does it do to us?
So depending on how heavy it is, it can be generally just strength training from picking it up, but it's also kind of developing explosive power in the down throw kind of thing. So if I just kind of, let it drop, that's not really developing all of these muscles that help you, really come together and support your body this way. So,
so there's an ergonomic way of doing this. Ergonomic as in without hurt. So when you bend, you do it in a way you don't hurt your body.
For sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So those things you learn.
Yeah, that's yeah. So that's kind of stuff we teach. There's no something that we live by. There's no like bad movement. It's just movements that you're not ready for. And when we go through the assessment, we look at how people move, and we take that information and base the way we teach this ergonomic way, or the most efficient way. Because wherever someone is at in their movements currently, they have adapted to that movement. So if I try to change that very drastically, I might actually set them up for injury, because I'm asking their body to do something that they don't know how to do, or they don't have access to. So we take them from where they're at and we build them out into a better, or into a position where they can more effectively engage their muscles, and sort of more like, what's the right way to say this? Like you're basically reducing the internal barriers. So if you take away the friction that's in your joints and in your muscles because of tightness or lack of use or whatever, then you don't have to overcome those internal forces, and you can apply that just to the ball.
So can I try one and can you tell me how to go about it?
Sure.
Oh gosh.
So that one's 10 pounds. Yep.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So from here, you're going to take it, you're going to bring it overhead, and then as you're coming down, your hands start to go over the top of it, and then you press it down towards the ground.
Oh, on top?
As you're pushing down.
Oh, okay.
So just practice one first. Go ahead and just throw it as best you can. Good.
Okay.
And now when you pick it up, so that was a good example right there. When you reach out to this position,
Yes.
I'd actually tell you to bring it back so it's right underneath your feet, or right between your feet, and then pull it from there, because that's less leverage on the body.
Yes. Okay. Alright.
Alright, so roll it back to your feet. There we go.
And this one.
Good. Did that feel easier than the first time?
Yes.
Good. And that's the important part.
Yeah, and is there like a circuit I need to do too?
No.
So this is, de-stress.
Totally, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Stretch and unwind.
Yeah. If you've ever had a bad day at work, this one is
really good.
Boom! Get it out.
I'm having a good time, so I'm not going to do that.
Okay, fine.
So great. All you people who are watching this, especially startup founders, who spend a lot of time in front of a computer desk, you put all your anxiety on your computer screens. This is a really good way to de-stress. So what is this called?
The slam ball.
It's called the slam ball. Go and get a slam ball and register with Marcel at 3Fit. So do you offer online classes as well? Or?
Yeah, so we do online. We have a couple hybrid classes, and then we have some in-person only classes.
Awesome.
So, and that'd be for our large format group classes. And then we do individual training as well, and semi-private training. So.
Fantastic.
So these are kettlebells, and these are pretty commonplace at gyms. You can find them anywhere. And kettlebells are fantastic tools. There's a lot of movements that we can do with this. You can do static stuff, you can do momentum-based stuff, which is how they were sort of originally used, like the kettlebell swings. And a lot of times people will hold them by the handle, and then they'll kind of press from here, or they'll do their swings, or whatever the case may be. But these tools are great for exploring a lot of different possibilities and movements.
So show me something unique which I haven't learned.
Just so you don't.
Yeah.
Just so typically I would have people take off the jewelry, but yeah. Just because if you don't want to break that. But so one of the things that I like to do, especially for grip training, so for a lot of the people that come in here, they work with computers, they have potentially hand issues.
Yes.
Right? Imagine sitting at a computer all day, your hand is just doing this,
Yes.
It's not exploring all the different positions.
I have those hand issues. They crackle in the night when I have to do this every night because I have not done it through the day, and there's some tension here.
Yep.
Right.
So there's a lot of cool grip work we can do with the kettlebell, and it's all like leverage based. So if you think of the farther an object is away from your point of tension, the more challenging it will get.
Yes.
And it's supposed to be hard, because if it was easy,
yeah.
you wouldn't do
Why do it? Yeah.
right. So when we think about this from a grip training perspective, I have to squeeze this kettlebell as hard as I can, and then I'm trying to pick it up out here. be a part of this movement. Now we could just lift it straight up too, and that's still going to get some grip work.
So I have a question here. If people play tennis or they're playing badminton, do they get a similar kind of workout on their arm?
Yes and no. The power of their movement does elicit some of those fast twitch muscles that will make your muscle grow, but it's not a continuous load or continuous time under tension, and that's what we need to make sure we develop the musculature to sustain longer movements.
So here there is a lesson about being continuous about movement.
Yeah, or think of it like time under tension is a better way to think about it. So if I just do a rep like that and I'm done, or say you do a tennis serve, right, which is an instant movement, the time under tension is so short that your body doesn't really get time to adapt on a muscular level.
Right.
It just adapts maybe on a neurological level.
Right.
So if I want to change the structure of my musculature, I have to hold something for a while,
yes,
and then give my body time to feel that and go, oh, I'm getting tired. Oh, my muscles are starting to fail. Oh, that's really hard.
Yeah.
Now the muscles and the connective tissue are all going to go, okay, I received enough input. Now I can make some changes and go, okay, I need to grow some more stuff. Or I need to...
I'll stop you there. So guys, this is a message for you. Time under tension. We all go through tension not only when we do physical activity but in life. If you're raising funds in your startup, if you're going for an interview, that entire stretch is filled with tension. So will you be able to manage your mental, spiritual and physical faculties through the interview, through the funding, through the startup? So working out is a physical manifestation of managing that stress. Am I right?
Yeah.
So how do you interpret this in psychology or your field kinesiology? How can you better interpret what I just said?
I don't think there's a better way to interpret that. That's great. When like what I tell people is the time that you spend exercising is the tangible time that you get to apply your brain to something. So when I lift a weight and I do that consistently for a while, I see that my muscle gets bigger and my muscle gets stronger. So that's a tangible reflection of the work that I'm doing in that muscle, for instance, right? Mentally, we don't have something that tangibly happens. You don't get to see your brain get bigger or the areas of your motor, pathways get bigger. It just comes through experience, like movement or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So when we apply our mental faculties to training, you're sort of indirectly developing that mental grit to be able to handle more load under tension, under time.
And I want to add, you just mentioned when you showed me those tires that you include them in team building activities. So you develop a mental faculty of working with a team.
Yeah.
Not just on yourself, but with others as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're social animals. Like our brain exists in our skull, yes, but the way we interact with the world is dependent on all of our interactions that we've ever had with anyone in the world. And that's why I say as 3Fit, it's not just about you and me, it's about you, me, and us in that relationship that way. So for anyone who's in a position where they're leading people, they have to think not just about the decisions they make, but the decisions that they're making that are affecting everyone down the line, and then how that's going to come back to them and maybe support their decisions for future stuff.
I really love this idea. Not only you, but you, me, and us, all of us. So whatever you're doing, how does it affect others and how does it come back to you? So this is amazing. Let's move on to the next prop. I can't wait what we'll discuss next.
Yeah.
Alright, I don't know if I'm ready for this, but Marcel, you said the world is your gym.
The world is your gym, right?
And
so
now you're saying the floor is the prop. I'm waiting to see how the floor is the prop.
So first of all, the floor always has your back. It will always be there to catch you.
Okay.
Right? But what I mean by that is so much of our life is spent on some chair or in a high bed or a couch. And if we remember, when we look at kids and we look at how they develop, right, they've got great flexibility. They can move in every way they want to, and they start on the floor. They start from the ground and they build themselves up, just like a business would be built, just like you would assess from a fitness perspective, right? It's always the ground up. That's the most functional way to think about building something, right? So when we use the floor as a prop, we think of this, maybe potentially isometric effort. So isometric means contraction without length change. And the way that 3Fit approaches fitness is we start from the inside out. So our joints are the main producers of movement. Everyone thinks muscles and tendons and stuff like that. The joints are really what connects our brain to the stuff that makes us move, like our muscles and whatever else, right? So if we don't have good joints, we don't have good anything else, period, right? Just like if you don't have a good team, you can't build a good product. Or, you can extrapolate that out as far as you want to.
So floor is also stability in life. Where do you get your stability from?
Sure.
Who has your back when things go wrong? So what's the stability mean for you? You have to think about it. So let's now focus on the gym.
Yep.
And this is the gym floor.
Yep.
And,
Okay, so in this 90-90 position, this is the way that we work people's hip joints. Because again, we have to make a functional joint before we can do things like squat or lunge or jump or run or whatever the case may be, right? Your hip has to connect your legs to your torso to make you move around. So when I think of the floor as a prop, I'm thinking of, I'm gonna push into the floor as hard as I can. And I know this floor is not gonna move. It's not gonna give me a single millimeter of movement. So I can put 100% of my being into this floor and get the most out of my efforts because this object is not going to cave. It's not going to give me anything. Right? It is there.
So who is your stability in life? Is it your family? Do you get your stability from your career? Do you get it from your identity? What is it that is not changing? Is it somebody, your close friend? Is it your spouse? Who is your stability?
Right. So, for example, we would lean forward into this stretch position, and you're going to think of trying to get your belly button towards your thigh and shin. You can put your hands on the ground as your kind of base, and as we do that, we feel a nice stretch in the hip, right? So out of there. Okay, so we would go through this whole sequence of like a long passive stretch and then some other stuff. We'll just kind of skip the trace just so you can feel what this is like. So when we contract here, you're going to push just your foot into the ground as if you're trying to rotate your whole femur this way, going that way, right? And what that's going to do is it's going to produce a bigger sensation in your hip. Okay? So we're going to ramp this up really gradually. Okay? So we're going to start pressing at 10% efforts, 20% effort, 30%, body stay still, you're just trying to push into the ground, 40%, 50%, and now you should start to feel this big line of effort go all the way into the hip, right?
Right.
Good. We're going to hold that for a little bit here. We're going to hold this for about 10 seconds. So you just breathe, keep your body really still, hold, right? And it's because you're pushing against this stable position and this body position that your brain learns how to control your hip joints. And then we're going to relax all the way. And once you fully relax, then we're going to see if we can sink deeper into the stretch.
So when you say hip joints, they are connecting the lower part of the spine to the bones which are holding your legs, leg bones, right? The pelvis. Basically the pelvis. And this is a position we don't do. I think if you're sitting in front of a computer throughout the day, these muscles probably you don't use a whole lot.
Nope. So a lot of people that I have, most people have a laptop nowadays, so I tell them to take their meetings from the floor. And I guarantee you will fit it more. You won't sit like this for longer than 5 minutes at a time. So then you might sit like this.
Yes.
Or then you might sit like this. Or then you might sit like this.
Take your meetings from the floor. Sit on the ground, put your laptop on the floor, 1 or 2 books underneath that, or raise it a little bit, but then sit on the floor because you're more dynamic, you're more fluid when you're on the floor.
It is.
I like this. The Padmasana, the meditation.
Yeah, totally. I tell people up front, there's no magic to this stuff. It's just hard work. Right? You don't get something without doing something, and everything that you do in life that's worth anything requires hard work.
Yeah.
Right. So when you sit in this position, it's gonna feel uncomfortable at first. You're gonna be like, why am I doing this? I don't have a cushion under my butt. I don't have my legs supported at ergonomically 90 degrees, and I don't have armrests and stuff. But then you realize that I can own my body position and I can develop that strength just by being in this position.
I love that idea. I can own my body position. If you sit on the floor, you put your laptop in front of you, you can own your body. You're not slave to the chair. You don't have to be adjusting. I love it.
one of the things that 3Fit sort of that we live by is that you are always adapting to what you're doing.
You're always adapting to what you're doing. I love that. And what does it mean for 3Fit, this whole philosophy? How do you bring it out?
From a physical perspective, like literally, I'm sitting in this position right now, so my body is trying to get better at this exact position right now. And if I move to this position, now my body's trying to get better at this. So whatever you spend your time doing, your body is going to try to get better at that. And if you're sitting on the couch and just chilling like this, your body's going to get good at that. But you have to ask yourself, is that who you want to be? Is that what you want to do? Is that how you want to live your life? If you know the rules. The rules are you're always adapting to whatever you're doing. Mm-hmm. And that's a fundamental thing that you cannot change. Just like physics, just like light, you can't change those things. You just have to work within those rules. So once you understand that, now you have to make this choice of, okay, what kind of person do I want to be? Not just from a movement perspective, but now, who am I hanging out with and how are they influencing me? Mm-hmm. What choices am I making as a father or as a husband or as a business owner or whatever? Mm-hmm. How does that fit with my values? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how that knowledge of I'm always adapting to what I'm doing guides my decisions and my choices in life and how people accept that.
Fantastic. So that was all about the 3Fit methodology. Before we part, I have a couple of questions. One is, do you teach meditation to your clients, or is there any form of stillness you recommend to them?
Oh yeah. It's
because he's sitting in this pose and I can't resist asking you that question.
For sure. I personally don't think meditation is entirely static. Mm-hmm. I think it's really good to be able to be still and especially when I teach people how to breathe. You'd be surprised how many people breathe into their chest and their lungs and their stress comes from up here. Mm-hmm. And we look at how our lungs are organized in the neurology of our lungs, like breathing into your belly and the lower lobes of the lungs helps stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system and calms us down. And when we breathe up here, that's the opposite. We get all stressed out and into that stress mode or fight or flight mode, right? So like when I teach people how to breathe, we have to be still so that you can feel the breath going in and out of your body. But at some point, once that skill is established and you can feel that, and meditation doesn't have to come from stillness. So I play guitar, for example, and when I'm playing and I'm moving my fingers on the fretboard and I'm doing stuff, I'm not necessarily being still, but my mind goes into that place where I feel at peace.
Fantastic. So meditation is not only about stillness. Meditation also means mentally you're in tune with something and you have stopped doing everything else and you're completely at bliss. So I like that idea. It kind of connects with your idea of stability and it kind of connects your idea with finding who you are. So this is amazing. And before we wrap up, any parting advice to all those techies and those people who are fighting stress, who are watching this, who want to get to the next level? What's your advice to them?
First and foremost, there's no bad movements. So please just move your bodies however feels good to you. Like, you don't need to look like those magazine covers to move well. You don't need to subscribe to the perfect form for a squat to do a squat. Right? And so many people live their life without ever knowing any exercise and they still get through somehow, right? If you look at kids, they move perfectly and they've never exercised as we think of it as adults in their lives. No one has taught them how to do a good squat or to throw a ball, they just don't have the attachment, right? So I would first say just get rid of the idea that you have to be perfect form to do stuff. Okay? As long as it doesn't hurt, play. Just go have fun. You don't need equipment like a gym to train. Right? You can literally take some water bottles and use that. Play with your pillows. I taught a class this morning and we used a pillow as a prop for some ab work. It's really about getting creative and utilizing what is around you and having the willpower to move yourself instead of needing a tool like a kettlebell to make you contract, I guess.
So this is amazing. You don't need gym equipment to stay fit. You can use objects around you to stay fit. So we have many students, youth entrepreneurs watching this. They're probably limited because of the pandemic or in space, or they don't want to spend on a gym. So for them, the world is the gym. You can use anything around you creatively. Marcel, thank you so much for this amazing hour you spent with me. This is like a playground, and I thoroughly enjoyed every equipment you described. There's so much more to do here, but we'll certainly come back and we'll have another entire round of episode focused on training, on circuits, and we'll explore a lot more. Thank you so much for the hour.